Well, this is the high waters mark. This is where Picketts Charge, this is where they attempted to go, right here. So let's read this real quick. The high water mark. Speaking of the Confederates who had executed Picketts Charge, General Lee reflected, "I never saw troops behave more magnificently. Yet the last great assault at Gettysburg, among the greatest made by American soldiers, failed to crumble the Union defenses. Hurrahs rose from the Union soldiers here as the Confederate tide ebbed. 12,000 Confederates had thrown themselves against the Union line, and nearly half had been killed, wounded, or captured. General Meade prepared his men for another attack on the 4th, but it never came. That night, Lee's army began its muddy retreat into Virginia. Years after the battle, Picketts Charge and its failure came to be known as the high water mark of the Confederacy. The war would continue for nearly 2 more years, but Lee's army of Northern Virginia would not invade the North again. A Union officer who witnessed Picketts Charge wrote, from that time on, the march of the rebellion was toward Appomattox." And here they're talking about Picketts Charge. So this shows where we are. We're here. We're here. Emmitsburg Road is there. You can see, you can't really see it. Let me zoom in on it. Right there. Cadore Farm. I don't know if it's still there. Let's see if we can get it. It's over there. Seminary Ridge is over there. So it's, you can't really see it, but it's up. It's like a up. So here, this is it. This is where this is the angle. This is where the Union, beat back the Confederates here. And see the trees? I guess they haven't changed much since that. This is where Lee ordered his troops to converge on, right here. This says, "The ground of the last assault of the Philadelphia Brigade held this angle July 2nd and 3rd, 1863. Casualties in the battle, 493. This is where it happened, right here, the angle. It's just hard to believe those guys charged. It's just suicide. You can see all the monuments here. Hey man, they were brave, but it was suicide. You could just see that. Along these, the works here, the stone, it was hand-to-hand fighting. You can see from the statue, it was hand-to-hand. And across the way, I assume that's a monument to the Confederates along the way there. We'll go there in a minute before it gets dark. These are actual positions here. The writing is almost unreadable now. Brigadier General Lewis A. Armistead, Confederate States of America, fell here July 3rd, 1863. I guess he's buried here. So he's a great Confederate general. Wow, man. So they got past the breastworks there, and this is where Armistead fell, right here. I assume he's still buried there, right? He was a friend. Well, see, all these guys were, friends. Basically, they all knew each other. That's where Armistead fell, right there. He died. I don't know if he's buried there, and I think he was wounded, then he died later. That's what I think. So literally, look at up and down. These are all the Union. Let me just show you this. These are all the monuments to all the Union troops that fought here. I'll tell you what, it's suicide. I don't know how. There's the fence that the Confederates tried to jump over. It's insanity. Check this out. July 3rd, 1863. The regiment assisted in the repulsing the charge of the enemy on the angle at 3 p.m. and in capturing many standards and prisoners. During the cannonading which preceded the charge, the regiment was in line 60 yards to the left and rear of this monument. When the rebels forced the troops from the first line, the 72nd fought its way to the front and occupied the wall. President Gettysburg, 485 killed and mortally wounded 62. 72nd Pennsylvania Infantry. And that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Americans fighting Americans. This is it. This is, I mean, literally, this is where I am standing, right where the Picketts Charge is out there. You can see it over there. That's where they started. This is a huge field. There's no way these guys didn't have a chance. I mean, I'm sure. Can you imagine what it looked like when they were coming across? I don't know if the sun's in the way. I'm going to zoom it in. There's no way in hell these guys had a chance. This wall, this is the angle. And that's the trees. That's where they were aiming towards. They got it fenced off there. Take a look at this. You see why they call it the angle. Boom. It comes over here. Boom. No chance in hell. After looking at this in person, I can assure you that with the amount of troops that were up here, man, just turkey shoot. But where I'm standing right here, right now, there was hand-to-hand fighting going on here, and just brutal hand-to-hand fighting. I'm not going to say anything now. I'm just going to walk it and let you imagine what it must have been like on July 3rd, 1863 here. All the ghosts that are here. The center of the Union line. And over there, the Confederates were in that tree line there. Let's just go over here. These guys, hand-to-hand combat over here. Americans fighting Americans. There is no tougher force on earth. And I just realized I got really sunbitten out here, sunburned out here. Really bad today. Whoops. In memoriam of our deceased comrades who gave up their lives in defense of a perpetual union. On this spot fell our commander, Colonel Dennis O'Kane. His true glory was victory or death. At the moment of achievement, the former, he fell victim to the latter. While rallying the right to repulse Armistead, the Lieutenant Colonel Martin Soboy was killed. He was also wounded in the previous day, but he refused to leave the field. The major and adjutant were also wounded. Out of an aggregate strength of 258, The regiment suffered a loss of 137. Erected by the surviving members and their friends of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He died right here. And of course, this line goes all the way down. So, I'm standing right where this guy died. They got this line, they're showing the line here. It's amazing. There's people walking the field where the Confederates came. I think that's a travesty. I don't think anybody should be walking that. Just to give you an idea what this looks like. That's the Union line. This is the bloody angle. Breastworks. It's not that big of an area they were attacking, I'll tell you that. Some of the writing on these things you can barely read now. They got to come back and restore them, I think. After seeing the angle, I can tell you flat out, they didn't stand a bat's ass chance in hell. Elizabeth, that's where Picketts Charge went, right for those trees. And they call this the angle, the bloody angle. It's the last attack of the Civil War. They came, see what way over there, that white thing? That's where the Confederate Picketts Charge started, and they came all the way across this field trying to get the Union. The Union lines are right here. General Armistead died right there. He's Confederate. He was one of Hancock's friends. They call it the angle because they're right there. But they were going for that clump of trees. All right.